Hey everyone, today we are at Conscious Effort 2022 to talk about sustainable fashion. And I have with me the Big Daddy himself, Nikhil Arora. He's the VP and MD of GoDaddy. Welcome, Nikhil.
Thank you for having me here, and it's a pleasure to be here discussing the whole issue of sustainability, impact leadership, and conscious efforts.
Nikhil, my first question to you would be about digital identity. In today's world, I think for any business, having a digital identity is really important. I think it has become more important than even your self-identity in today's world. So, how do you go about creating it in a sustainable way?
Yes. So, if you think about what's transpired in the last 2 years, right? I mean, the speed and velocity of digitization has increased 10x. I think 2 years back, people would think about, yeah, I want to have a digital identity, but maybe not, right? The pandemic, the lockdown really forced us to. There is no other way other than being, online. And at a very simplistic level, right? I think digital identity is as simple as today, if you have a dream and you think about the name of a dream, right? That's called a domain name. So let's take an example, right? I mean, if I want to call my own name, I want to be Nikhil Garments, right? So nikhilgarments.com or nikhilgarments.in. It's my dream. But now I have to activate this dream, right? That dream is sitting in your closet. So when you buy a domain name, it's almost like it's sitting in the closet and nothing happened. To activate it, now you have to build a website, which is when the world sees you and they can discover you because somebody's searching for you, it shows up there, right? And that's where we call, you're bringing a dream alive to the world. And then thirdly is really about communicating, right? When you think about your brand now, how do you communicate? Do you have a right professional email, not your personal email, but a personal email, right? So the role of digital identity now is all about trust.
I think that was really insightful. My next question to you would be about, in today's age, especially after the pandemic years, on one hand, conversations around sustainability have gained intensity, right? And on the other hand, our reliance on e-commerce platforms has also increased. Do you think sustainability and these e-commerce platforms, wherein we are in a constant state of shopping, are they two paradoxical ideas? Are they at loggerheads with each other?
It's a very complex and relevant question, right? Because the online shopping numbers have really gone astronomical in the last 2 years, right? And also post the pandemic, or maybe even now the pandemic is still always on. There's this kind of revenge shopping going on, right? People have been locked up, so they want to buy. But I think what will really make a difference is being mindful of what you're buying and why you're buying. Right? I think the commerce needs to happen because the economies need to grow, the industry needs to grow. But I think as business leaders, the one thing we can do is about creating that mindfulness about, what are you buying, why are you buying for, and where are you buying from. And I think even investors today, when they're investing in brand, right, over 75% of these investors are looking for some balance between sustainable efforts and business metrics. Now, business has to be commercially successful, otherwise there is no business, right? But I think what's important is to how to incorporate, the sustainable metrics into that, which means, yeah, maybe sometimes we're buying way more than we need to, but we can still buy sustainable products, right? So it's a shift of mind happens where the consumer is conscious of where they're buying from, what they're buying from. So I think the dollar may be the same dollar being spent, but maybe you're spending at the wrong place and moving to the right place, right? So I think they can coexist.
I think I'm personally really relieved to know that these two ideas can coexist. Not a lot of people really know that your association with fashion, goes really way back in time, right? You started as a model for Lyft, then you were running Pearl Fashion Academy at one point of time, and today you are associated with sustainability. So how's been your journey with fashion? Because you have seen it from 3 different viewpoints. So if you could tell me about that.
Yeah, I know it's been very blessed to, as a young person, I got a chance to, model in one of the early batches of NFT, and that was my first exposure, and it was exciting but pretty nervous at that time. Like, what is this world of? Because fashion was still at the very early stages in India. Later on in my life, I had the opportunity to run Polygon Fashion as part of the football, Laureate Education, and there I think you started appreciating how much work goes in the academic side of fashion, right? While you see the output, which is all about the fashion designers, the input, which is all about how they've been trained, how they've been given practical exposure, and that's where I think sustainability, in my mind, can come in a lot, right? If these topics are incorporated in the curriculum of when we are training designers, right? They will ultimately be very conscious of when they come out, right? Otherwise, what happens is it's a very competitive industry. Every time a fashion designer who graduates, they're out there, oh my god, how can I be commercially successful? How many stores can I open? How many clothing lines can I create? And so on, right? But if we are able to educate them early on and incentivize them, right, to say, okay, there is an opportunity to create a unique identity by being a sustainable brand, I think we will see a lot more conscious effort from a lot of designers. A lot of them are already doing it, but I think we have to multiply this down the road. And as a GoDaddy, as a brand, obviously, we are being in tech. We are doing our bit to be a sustainable brand, which means how we are operating in the right office spaces, which are conscious of the emission, conscious of energy usage, water usage, how we encourage employees to commute, basically in terms of reducing the carbon usage and everything, right? So I think as a brand, we and other collectively can do a lot because these are small things, but ultimately they multiply.
And as a country, I think we always were like leaning towards sustainability. If you really look back, we were using our older clothes to make something new, right? We as a nation are really jugadu, right? And we always like to recycle things. Do you think it's really easy for us to take India as a country towards like sustainability? Do you think it's easy because of the kind of history that we have had with sustainability?
Yeah, I think it's like almost a tale of two cities. I'll tell you why. One, you're absolutely right? I mean, where majority of the country is, we live in limited resources, right? So obviously, we don't have affordability to buy a lot of clothes, so we just keep washing the clothes or buy a lot of other products and keep reusing. But it's the other 15-20%. So in India generally, right? I mean, about 60-70% of the economy is run by 15-20% of high net worth companies / individuals. So the change needs to happen there, right? Because that's where a lot of repeat buys are happening. But I think while I agree the fact that yes, a lot of sustainability is already there, but awareness of water usage, right? I mean, think of it, right? I mean, 70% of the world is water today, but only 2.5% of that is fresh water, and only 1% is actually usable is accessible to humans today. Water consumption has increased twice the speed as population. And I'll give you an example, and I'll talk about it later also. Go to any place, to restaurants, right? How many glasses of water get filled? Every table is filled with 15 glasses. And how many of them get drunk? Not much. So I think in these resources where like water, for example, right? I don't think the consciousness is there among people. Even if you're in smaller towns, it's water, right? I mean, wastage and all that stuff. But not that people are wasting on choice, right? Like an average cotton t-shirt, it takes a water supply of one person drinking for more than 2 years, right? So I think we still can educate a lot. We can, everybody in the country about at least these resources, right? Some of the clothing you're right, some of the other things you're right because they already don't have the money. But natural resources, what I'm worried about, right? Water, for example, you won't get more water. That's the limited supply, right? So I think a lot of awareness needs to be brought in for everybody to understand. Oh my God, the supply will run out if you don't wait.
I think you touched upon a very important fact that not a lot of people know that to make a t-shirt, like it takes the equivalent of your 3 years of drinking water, and I think that fact is like mind-boggling, and it really makes us question the way that we want to like move forward. So what's that one change that you suggest to the businesses in which they can take that first baby step?
One is, I think, making sure there is enough training happening for execs to employees level of having them understand what is sustainability. because it's a very heavy, complex, and overwhelming topic, right? So we bring everybody on the common definition of what is sustainability mean for for at a business level, and so that happens. Then it's all about, I think, making sure that you commit to some action plan of picking one or two things within the company and make it part of your mission. Because if you make it part of your mission, you declare it, I think then you will action on it, right? So I think to me these are the very basic things to say, okay, help everybody and train yourself as if you're the exec, train your employees of what does sustainability mean in your industry. And then secondly is to make sure incorporate that into some action plan, declare it to your company, make it part of your mission, make it part of your everyday life, and then you'll start seeing that now you can measure how much you are moving, right? For example, even if it's as simple as, what, I'm going to reduce my electricity usage by X, or I'm going to use, just use like solar lighting for Y, or I'm going to reduce my plastic usage by, X or whatever, right? So these things, these are helping ultimately get us to where we want to be, right? So start small, but start very explicitly, make sure it's evangelized all the way to the organization, and, basically keep executing.
I think today what we all realize is that he's not just the big daddy of tech. I think he's also the big daddy of sustainability. I think I had a wonderful time chatting up with you on these important issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you, pleasure, man.